Hey y'all, it's raining outside, so I said to Matt, why don't we do a live stream? And the weather's been kind of pretty wild lately. So I know our friends up
Very
in
wild.
Arkansas and up towards Texarkana, we're getting some serious weather, and we are reaping the benefits of the rain from that. We just got like 3 inches last night. We got another couple inches today. So that's kind of
Yeah.
unusual. We're already maxed out for our annual rainfall
Yeah.
already this year. So
Yeah, it's incredible.
hay prospects and everything are doing good. But
And for the cattle market, it's great.
yeah, and if any of y'all missed it, I interviewed Colby Mack on the podcast, so we load that up on the main channel. Check that out, and you're going to want to subscribe to the Fearless Podcast because I have a long form interview that's getting ready to post that will be a podcast exclusive. We'll post a little bit of a teaser to the social medias, but it's not all acceptable on all platforms. So it will be, to hear the whole thing, you'll have to be subscribed to the Fearless Podcast, and that'll be coming out probably Monday, maybe before then if we get the time to do all the things and all that good stuff. Brian, what's up, man?
But there's two articles that we wanted to talk about today because, as we all know, there's this massive, gigantic war on our food system, but definitely a gigantic war on red meat and just meat in general.
And it's just so in your face and pervasive. And it's not even a war. It is a war on red meat and all these different things. But then there is just this overt attempt to poison our food. And that's what this first article is talking about from Chris Wick News. And I love the way that this guy writes. He's an awesome writer. And maybe it's just because I'm dim-witted, I don't know. But Tyson Foods, the connoisseur of processed chicken delights, have shockingly announced a alliance with Protix, a company that specializes in insect ingredients. It seems our beloved chicken overlords are spreading their wings into the world of bugs. Insect invasion, a new era for food labeling, in a move that promises to revolutionize the processed food industry. Tyson Foods has entered into a particular pact with Protix. This unholy alliance aims to propel the growth of the emerging insect ingredient sector. Brace yourselves, for soon your favorite store-bought treats might come with an unexpected crunch. Rumor has it that globalists are leading the charge in the bug food agenda. Yeah, I don't know if y'all saw it. I saw it on Twitter because I don't watch TV or anything. But like, I think it was some Holly weirdo, Nicole Kidman or somebody crunching down a bowl of bugs or something.
No way.
And I'm like,
Seriously?
go for it. Choke on a bug.
I hope they
while they indulge in steak and caviar, the rest of us may find ourselves unwittingly munching on insect-infused delicacies. Thanks, Tyson. Tyson's investment in Protix isn't just about funding a bug's life. It's about creating a sustainable system for churning out insect protein and lipids. So we all know about the bug husk, chitosan or whatever it is, and we already know that that's toxic and different things. Now they're talking about bug lipids. Yes, you read that right. Lipids. Soon, our plates may be adorned with a symphony of insects, all thanks to the wonders of modern capitalism. I wouldn't want to demonize and blame capitalism.
Yeah.
This is definitely crapitalism. This is crony capitalism.
Yeah.
This is multinational, transnational, mega corporations that are completely infused through all these other they, them, and those agencies, completely infused in bed with all of the international governments. And the one worlders and all that stuff. And John R. Tyson, the financial maestro behind Tyson Foods, sees the insect life cycle as the epitome of circularity. It's all about strengthening their commitment to a more sustainable. And this is always, you know, they use buzzwords, they use catchphrases. And that's why, you know, when they hijack the narrative, that's one of the reasons why when we use the word sustainable, it means something completely different. You know, when they use the word sustainable, it means
opposite.
They want humans to die. It's a eugenics. It's a eugenics term that's been completely redefined. Anytime you hear a technocrat or a globalist use the word sustainable, it means you'll own nothing and be happy. That's what their definition of sustainability is.
Yeah.
Who knew bugs could be so versatile? In the eyes of the globalists, non-globalists are nothing but human livestock, mere pawns in their grand game at gastronomic chess. Brace yourselves for the insect invasion that knows no bounds. As Tyson ventures into the world of insects, one can't help but draw parallels to the dystopian realm of Soylent Green.
Yeah.
Are bugs the new green? Only time will tell. With news of Tyson's insect escapades spreading like wildfire, many consumers are bidding farewell to their once beloved chicken products, which probably isn't that bad of a thing. You know, there's a silver lining every time in all these really things. Is. And the way that Tyson raises their chickens is
repulsive,
utterly disgusting and putrid. And, you know, we have lots of different chicken houses and processings. We have Tyson, we have Sanderson.
A big one around here is Pilgrim's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're all around here, and they all raise chickens like super disgusting.
Yeah.
So hopefully with the infusion of these bug parts into their supposed chicken.
Do you think they're pushing for bugs so that then they can outlaw raising critters? You know, and then you can just raise your own meat in your backyard. So then they can outlaw that because that produces too much CO2. So then now you have to eat the bugs from the grocery store.
Right, because they know it's irrefutable that you need protein. And they also know that it's impossible to get a sufficient amount of protein from vegetables. And then also, I mean, they don't even want you to be able to grow vegetables. They don't want you to be able to grow anything. So it's the big take. It's the long game.
Yeah,
that they don't want you to be able to grow any type of food or have any type of food on your own. You're going to have to sign up for like UBI and government kibble, and it's going to consist of
bugs,
bug carcasses, bug lipids. Yummy, magically delicious.
I just can't wait for the bug commercials.
It's
going to be awesome.
I can't wait for the delusional TV vidiots that just like slurp down the TV. They were like, oh, what a great idea. What yummy. Oh, that lowered my cholesterol. As Tyson Foods takes the leap into the bug sphere, one thing is certain. The world of processed food will never be the same. So the next time you take a bite of your favorite chicken nugget, remember the crunch might just be courtesy of our six-legged friends. Bon appetit. So another thing to point out here is that these Tyson foods are all ultra processed foods. There's inordinate amounts of seed oils, bug parts, all different types of chemicals that we can't even pronounce or describe. So that's all part of this. Not even just Tyson whole chickens, but, you know, the majority, everything that Tyson does and these transnational corporations do are not to your benefit. And the quality of the product that they offer will ultimately kill you. And which is why you have to source your own food. You have to network locally, and it's much easier to know. And hopefully I'm going to reach out to a local rancher. I'm going to have these guys on That's going to be another interview coming up. I just have to line it up, but that's why it's real important to network and know your farmer, know your rancher, and to network, because then you're knowing where your food comes from. You're knowing 100%. If they're sprinkling bug parts and dipping them in bug lipids and doing all these kind of things, or if they're handling them in a traditional type fashion that's just like reasonable, rational, logical, and completely and totally and utterly sustainable or regenerative, like sustainable in a real fashion, not in a wealth redistribution, destroy the Western society and spread that wealth to the top 0.5%. So that's that first article that comes from Chris Wick News.
And quick update for any of our amazing customers over at TheTexasBoys.com. We just restocked the 5-pound honeys, and I went ahead and restocked them on the website, and it's up to date now. So if you've been waiting to...
We've gotten several emails.
Make a purchase on the 5-pound honeys over there, you can go on over there. We used to sell 1 gallons, but then we still do have $1,000 worth of 1 gallons out there somewhere, missing, probably in someone's stomach by now, because I don't know, either they would get absolutely destroyed and thrown around and crack open,
it was
or
crazy.
They would get stolen by
and then they wouldn't allow us to make a claim on the insurance. So we were literally just basically dumping gallons of honey on the ground. So we stopped.
Bleeding honey.
It was very, a lot of people like buying their gallons, but we just couldn't swing it just because. I don't know if y'all are seeing this too, but like every package you get is virtually destroyed.
Hey, that's been happening a lot. That's been happening a lot with a lot of the new tools that me and James and Buddy have been getting for a construction company. We got 2 Bora quick
metal sawhorses.
Metal sawhorses, but they're like the quick action ones where you can do it. You can they collapse all the way down and you can unfold them with one hand. They're super awesome. But when they came in a box with no packaging material in it and partially like all dented up and beat up and kind of bent a little bit. And anyway, it happened with both of them. Then James bought a Delta Pro miter saw stand, and he got that from Lowe's, which Lowe's already stinks anyway. But he got that shipped in to the house because
we couldn't get it anywhere locally.
Yeah, because we couldn't get it anywhere locally. Then when we got it, it was absolutely destroyed. At least Lowe's was nice enough. We returned it to the store. A nice lady there returned it, like no questions asked. And they actually had one in the store.
Yeah.
But we had to drive like an hour away.
Tyler,
yeah. And we were able to pick that one up. The box was destroyed on the outside. So me and James opened it up in the Lowe's parking lot to make sure this one wasn't destroyed too. But it wasn't.
Wise.
Somehow it wasn't destroyed. But I think we're going to, in the next years to come, we're going to see a rapid decline in, especially returning things. The whole Amazon,
that will completely
Prime,
change. When I grew up, you could never return anything.
Sure.
So, and it was very disappointing, especially if you bought it and you opened it and it was broken, because you were stuck with it, and that's going to come back because it's just going to come back because of that's how they're going to combat all this inflation and just tanking profit margins, is they're just going to cut back. And that's going to be part of the cutback. And hey, you don't need to own anything anyway to be happy.
Yeah, you just lease everything.
You can just pay monthly installments on every practical item that you use on a regular basis. So it's going to be great. Yeah, it's going to be great. The next article comes from...
That's very true. Liberty Lover. Yeah.
Yeah. They're trying to... They're shaking down Amos Miller to make a precedent to basically outlaw all of our food and I'll circle back to my upcoming interview on the Fearless podcast. If you love liberty and freedom, you have to hear this story. It is so insane, so tyrannical, and so like out of the blue. And you have to listen to it, and we have to support this guy. But keep an eye out at the Fearless podcast. That'll be posting probably by Monday. But yeah, it's just shocking. And, you know, we live in a banana republic, and it's kangaroo court. And this is, and this is why, oh, I don't know what just happened. Oh, it's back. Don't touch anything.
I'm not.
Wow, y'all, we get hacked every time.
I know.
We go live. This is crazy.
Now we're glitched.
Now we're froze. I wouldn't touch that. Oh, it is? Oh, okay. Change the port. Dude, every time, y'all. This is like crazy.
Hacker status.
Hacker. Hacky sack. Is our camera going to come back?
I don't know.
Do you want me to hit the, oh yeah, it's okay. Do you want me to hit the icon thing?
1 second. Yeah. Open that up because it closed it.
Okay, there we go. So we should be back on now.
There
crazy, y'all. Crazy. We get hacked. This is crazy.
We get hacked all the time now. It's weird. It's
okay.
We get shadow banned and hacked.
Yeah, it's so insane. We posted the interview with the Max, and the Max posted on their community tab totally shadow banned like by a factor of 10,000. Like if you look at it's unbelievable. But
yeah,
welcome to our life, and we embrace it. It's okay. We're soon, you know, right now we're shadow banned in social media, but they want to shadow ban us in real life. And there you go. So so the next article is going to be from the Off Guardian. The food, and I love this whole food transition. The food transition is a war on food, farmers, and the public. And this article starts with a, here's what I'll do. I'll drop this right into the, if y'all want to watch this little video, I'll drop it right into the chat.
There you go.
There you go. And then this article begins with a short video based on an interview with researcher Sandy Adams, who describes the plans for agriculture in the rural county of Somerset in southwest England and the UK in general. And the other reason why I think this is so important is this whole food thing is absolutely international. And I want to keep pointing out that all of these issues are a transnational, global issues. And there's all this weird social engineering going on about like China and Russia. And there's some of this stuff like they're trying to paint Putin as like this Christian overlord or something, you know? And I'm just like, no, they were every single country was in on the last scam that's going to happen again and all that stuff. Every country, every leader
step.
Yep. Lockstep, lockdown. And they were all in on it. They're all still in on it.
Yeah.
And so, you know, you observe reality. I mean, it's unfortunate, but it is. So this is what's going on in the UK. It's an important clip because what she describes appears to be part of a wider United Nations agenda handed down by an extremely wealthy, unaccountable, unelected elite. This elite thinks it can do a better job than nature by changing the essence of food and the genetic core of the food supply via synthetic biology and genetic engineering. The plan also involves removing farmers from the land, AI-driven farmerless farms, and fill much of the countryside with wind farms and solar panels. And this is the other part of the green agenda. The green agenda has been a land grab, and the green agenda is completely and utterly destructive to all living organisms, foreign and domestic. So whether you're a cow or a goat or a pig or a kale, and I'm not advocating that anyone should eat kale. No one should eat kale. But I'm just saying that in a field of solar panels, you can't grow kale. All right.
Yeah.
And, these fake windmills that are usually shut down or burn up or on fire
Don't
or
spin.
not moving, when they are moving, they kill millions of birds. And it's just like, it's so dystopian and evil. It's just weird. And all of these things, it's such Jesuit sophistry, because all of these things that on the face are supposedly designed to be green and renewable, ultimately they kill, maim, and destroy.
Yeah.
And it's not by coincidence, it's by design. Although the food system has problems that need addressing, this misguided agenda is a recipe for food insecurity that no one voted for. Throughout the world, from the Netherlands to India, farmers are protesting. This is a global tragedy that's going on in every country,
everywhere,
and farmers are protesting. Not here yet or whatever. And I don't know, y'all. I don't know, but not here yet. The protests might appear, and here's my thing when we talk about protesting. Permaculture is sedition. The reason that we do these things, the reason we buy dirt, the reason we stick things in the dirt, the reason we have 400 fruit trees, the reason we have however many laying hens we have a lot, and cows and all these, and coonies and all these different things, is because this is our protest. Part of the protest, like, what good is it if you have the right and the freedom to grow your own food and you're not doing it?
And you don't do it. Yeah.
Right. And how can you even make the case for preserving that if you're not doing it? And I know everybody can't do that, and that's fine. So it's not for everybody to do it, but that's why some of us need to create abundance so we can provide for our community, right? And we can barter and trade and parallel community, parallel economy, And so that way, when the poop hits the prop and all these different things, and all these bubbles finally pop, Bitcoin and all, I want to get a gold guy on, or a Bitcoin guy on. And I know
you've been saying that,
but
yeah, definitely.
They manipulate Bitcoin and they manipulate gold and silver. But here's what I don't understand. Like, that's what makes me think when Bitcoin goes up, they're letting it go up, because they continue to suppress gold and silver. And we know the volume that's being bought, that countries are buying it at, right? So it has to be going, and you can manipulate this stuff so long on paper.
Sure.
And they've invented so many derivatives, but they've done the same thing with all these different cryptos too. But I won't get it. I like going down rabbit trails, so I'm not going to get down that rabbit trail. But okay. So we're talking about AI farms. So, we talk about wind and solar panels. Throughout the world, from the Netherlands to India, farmers are protesting. The protests might appear to have little in common. No, they absolutely are. They have everything in common, because this is a global agenda. But they do. Farmers are increasingly finding it difficult to make a living, whether, for instance, because of neoliberal trade policies that lead to the import of produce that undermines the domestic production and undercuts prices, the withdrawal of state support, or the implementation of net zero emission policies that set unrealistic targets. The common thread is that by one way or another, farming is deliberately being made impossible or financially non-viable. And in a very real way, all of the government subsidies have made real practical farming for real food unviable. They've been doing all the shenanigans with like ethanol and GMO corn. And so we're growing all this GMO corn and soy for all of these different, to put in gasoline.
Well, and we've actually have seen the destruction of diesel and the attack on diesel in the last decade because of this new thing that they've been adding to most diesel vehicles and engines is DEF. So it's a very easy control mechanism.
Yeah, it's a long game. Yeah,
because you can throttle or jack up the price of DEF, or it can just disappear, off the shelves. And if you can't get it, then your truck goes into limp mode, and can't go faster than 10 miles an hour.
Yeah, and conspiracy realists were pointing that out like 10 years ago. Yeah. They're like, this whole DEF thing is just a control mechanism because now we have like biodiesel and all these different things.
Because I knew that diesel, that you can make biodiesel and put it in your truck. And they hate that fact. But guess what you can't make very easily is gasoline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The common thread is that by one way or another, farming is deliberately being made impossible or financially non-viable. The aim is to drive most farmers off the land and ram through an agenda that by its very nature seems likely to produce shortages and undermine food security. A one world agricultural global agenda is being promoted by the likes of the Gates Foundation and the World Economic Forum. It involves a vision of food and farming that sees companies such as Bayer Santo. See, Monsanto had all that ugly press and all these big things, and now they magically get absorbed back into IG Farben. If you want to read a book or do a little research and find out who IG Farben was, and they're getting the band back together, and now Bayer Santo and IG Farben's been killing everyone for 100 years or more. So thanks, IG Farben, Corteva, Syngenta, and Cargill, working with Microsoft, the Googles, and the big tech giants to facilitate AI-driven farmless farms, laboratory engineered food, in quotes, and retail dominated by the likes of Amazon and Wally World. A cartel of data owners, proprietary input suppliers, and an e-commerce platform at the commanding heights of the economy. The agenda is the brainchild of a digital corporate financial complex that wants to transform and control all aspects of life and human behavior. This complex forms part of an authoritarian global elite that has the ability to coordinate its agenda globally via the United Nations, World Economic Forum, World Trade Organization, World Bank, IMF, International Monetary Fund, and other supranational organizations, including influential think tanks and foundations like Gates and Rockefeller, and Trump said he was going to get us out of the UN, and then suddenly he knew whatever. So we're going to see y'all if we vote hard enough, see what happens in 24 if we even get to vote harder. Not saying that's going to fix anything, but unless this supranational organizations that have existed since the 70s and continue to thrive and continue to grow, regardless of red or blue or which side of the bird or whatever, right? These beasts get bigger, and the beast's going to beast. And the beast, they invite red and blue and purple and green and everybody else to all their things. And they speak and do all these things. And, it's a big party, and we ain't in it. We ain't invited. So,
and
all the more reason.
Trump's sadly been flashing his gang signs too.
Yeah, with the poke and all that stuff on the,
the Bud Light.
It's sad. Yeah.
And the super Trumpers, sadly, I don't know. Like if they want to be so like, oh, pro, Trump, and we're going to show all the good sides of Trump. But when Trump says something like that, don't
ignore,
say that.
They cannot be critical.
I know. I'm like,
they're just, they turn off their brain, and it's really sad. It's kind of weird.
I'm like, he just came out and straight up said that, like, dude.
Yeah. Its agenda for food and farming is euphemistically called a food transition. What in the world is that?
I don't know.
Big agribusiness and philanthropic foundations position themselves as the saviors of humanity due to their much promoted plans to feed the world with high-tech precision farming, data-driven agriculture, and green net zero production, with sustainability being the mantra. That's what we were just talking about in the last article, is this wordsmithery. And whenever they use these words that sound good, it is completely nefarious, and it is exactly the opposite.
Yeah.
When they use the word sustainability, they want to destroy whatever sector they're in and completely destroy it, make it non-productive, and extract any conceivable amount of whatever kind of synthetic derivative. That's why they're going to be, you're going to watch just in the next couple years, is they are going to synthesize the soil biome and all living plants and trees, and they're going to synthesize and monetize that, and they're going to start extracting that wealth. And that's how, you know, well, yeah, you own your dirt, but we own the bioavailability in it. And so if you want to plant something in it, you're going to have to pay a tax, because, you know, that tree, you know, when it decomposes, it produces methane, and that's a greenhouse gas. And that's how this thing goes. It just continues to get psycho, more psycho, and and these people are the predator class. They're completely insane. They're of their father, the devil, and his will they will do. And this is the beast going to beast, and it's going to beast. It's going to beast in the U.S. It's going to beast in the UK. It's going to beast in Palestine and the other places over there, and Iran, Iraq, and Russia. Beast going to beast, y'all. There's a reason why every government in the Bible is referred to as a beast. Okay. And there's a reason why when Nebuchadnezzar saw the image, and they were all government systems, and it's going to do what it's going to do. And that's true. The food transition involves locking farmers, at least those farmers who will remain in farming, further into a corporate-controlled agriculture that extracts wealth and serves the market needs for global corporations. Carbon trading Ponzi schemes. Okay, I'll give you a carbon trading Ponzi scheme. When they first came out with solar, there were these Shreks, or green certificates. And my mom and dad bought solar, and they paid some astronomically retarded. And they're in the commie Northeast. So when your power goes out, they turn your solar off, because they say, well, you could backfeed the grid, and when somebody's trying to fix the lines, you'll blow them up. But there, I mean, you can have a transfer switch.
So much.
If you had an automatic transfer switch, it would keep your power inside your house, which is where you want it anyway. It would prevent it from back charging the line. People could safely work on it. But no, in the commie Northeast, they make it so that you can't do that. And if the power goes out, your solar goes out.
So then it's like, why do you even have solar?
So then the other con game that they were doing was these green renewable energy certificates. You know, these were the certificates that Al Gore was buying so he could have his multi-million-dollar homes all around the world and fly around in private jets and all that stuff and have like a net zero impact. And at the time when my parents first purchased their solar system, the green certificates were trading at like $350 a cert, and they could generate like so many a month. And within less than 2 years, that whole entire scam dissolved. You can't buy no green certificates now. They are worth absolutely zero. You know, when they're selling you this thing and explaining the payoff, they're like, well, if you generate 2 certificates a month, that's $700. And so you're in 10 years, you know, that's, you know, if it's $8,000 a year, it's $80,000 in 10 years, and your system is paid for itself, blah, blah, blah. And meanwhile, less than a year down the road, the things don't even exist anymore.
The technology is not there yet.
And this was 10 years ago.
Do we have the technology? Absolutely. We have the technology for all types of incredible stuff. But there's patents on it, and they don't want to create it because it would be too efficient, you know, because they have they have all the technology for a lot of our normal use stuff that will last forever, but you can't sell products, you know, every year, you know, like, you know, phones, for example. They want they want you to be able to buy a new phone every year. you know, or every other year, you know, so they don't want to make these things to last forever, you know.
Well, yeah, not only that, they actually program them to die.
Yeah.
You know, and they get busted for this stuff.
Yeah. So then, you know, in a year or two, then they'll do these updates. We totally saw that with one of your old Apple phones, where every time it would update, and then it came out actually in the news that Apple did that, and the battery life got worse and worse.
And there was a class action lawsuit, and if you wanted to join it, you would get $3.
Yeah.
Isn't it great? Like Apple's made billions. All the like SWAT teams of attorneys made hundreds of millions, and you get $3.
You get $3. There you go.
Thanks for playing.
Don't you feel loved?
Aren't you glad that you can be part of a class action lawsuit? These farmers will be reduced to corporate profit extracting agents who bear all of the risks. This predatory commercialization of the countryside uses flawed premises and climate alarmism to legitimize the rollout of technologies to supposedly deliver us all from climate breakdown and Malthusian catastrophe. This is all predicated upon evolution, y'all. And if we're going to break free of this postmodern post-truth, we have to recognize that Malthus, Darwin, Huxley, right? They were all propagating the same lie, right? And then as we evolve to bigger, stronger, faster, even though we see no transitional species, right?
Yeah.
And now we've evolved to now, you know, Yuval Noah Harari tells us now that now in this new human evolution, you know, we're going to transcend all of that, right? And we've never experienced. So you can't point out Malthus and Darwin, right, and Huxley and favored races and all the racist eugenic stuff involved there. You can't throw those guys out and keep their theory, their evolutionary theory. And this is what's really strange about conservative, postmodern, post-truthism is it's just like Hollyweird and, you know, the rock and roll scene and movies and all this stuff. They say, well, it used to be good and all these different things. Like, no, this has been a very long game, a long agenda. Same thing with scientism, same thing with Darwin. And when it's systemically broken, you got to flush the whole thing. You can't, if you're picking the corn out, you got to understand what you're picking the corn out of. And you don't want to eat that corn. I'm just saying. All right. I don't want to get gross or anything, but I'm just saying. Maybe that's a bad analogy. But in society in general, we also see the questioning of official narratives discouraged, censored, and marginalized. We saw this with the policies and the science that were used with the lockdown-related state actions. A wealthy elite increasingly funds science, air quotes, determines what should be studied, how it should be studied, and how the findings are disseminated and how the technology produced is to be used. This elite has the power to shut down genuine debate and to smear and censor others who question the dominant narrative. The prevailing thinking is the problems humanity face are all to be solved through technological innovation determined by plutocrats and centralized power. Now, the problem with all that, it would work if guys like the Club of Rome in 1970 didn't write down what they were going to do. Like they said, the next thing we're going to do is going to be climate, and we got to save the world, and it's going to be Mama Gaia, and you know, we got to demonize everybody, and we'll be able to take everybody's stuff, and it'll be for the good of the children, you know, as they abort babies and all that stuff, you know. And it's so backwards and double-minded. This haughty mindset or outright arrogance leads to and is symptomatic of the authoritarianism that seeks to impose a range of technologies on humanity with no democratic oversight. This includes self-transmitting vaccines, the genetic engineering of plants and humans, synthetic food, geoengineering, and transhumanism. And this is another thing that's so fascinating to me. I mean, we've been talking about geoengineering and atmospheric aerosolized spraying and barium and aluminum and all of these things. We've been talking about this. We as a family have been talking about this for 10 years. We've been talking about this on social media for about 8 years. And there are still people that are like, oh, no, you don't know what a contrail is. And I mean, come on, y'all. There's all kind of white papers. There's there's all these different military papers, whether as a weapon, whether as a force multiplier. There's all these patents. There's all this proof. There's all these breadcrumbs. And if you want to, I mean, you're willingly ignorant. And if you'll willingly be ignorant and deceive yourself on that, I mean, it's so in our face. It's everywhere. It's almost every day.
Well, we were talking today actually at lunch, and we were talking about actually one of the phones, they updated the weather app, and the new update on the weather app is like the flu and virus percentage for the day.
Y'all.
So now it'll be like, the flu percentage or the virus percentage for the day is like the likelihood of you catching a flu or a virus today, could be 20%, 30%, or 95%. But then we were talking about there's actually people out there that would be like, oh my goodness, the virus percentage for today is 95. Well, I'm not going outside today, and we were giving the, what analogy did you give? You gave the baby being swaddled in a blanket analogy.
Yeah, there are people, and they are going to,
and they find comfort.
They're going to find and this is so true, y'all. There are these brainwashed statists, right? And you can fill in anything with the term statism, whether it's scientism, whether it's authoritarianism, whether it's the technocracy, or the white lab coats, whatever they say, the smart people, which are the technocratic oligarchs, right? These unelected, even if you can elect anybody or whatever, the unselected or whatever,
sure.
But there are so many people, and they want to stay in this normalcy, ignorance cocoon, and they will swaddle themselves in their weather app. And they're going to say, let me look at the weather app and see if I can go outside today. Oh, there's a 40% that I'm going to be sick today, so I'm not going to go outside.
And I have family members that would,
and they're just be like, oh,
do it in a heartbeat.
I am so glad.
Do it in a heartbeat.
I am so glad that the weather app told me that there was a 48% chance of flu today. Is there any, first off, I mean, talk about the most unscientific. There's no way to even calculate that. There's certainly no way for them to calculate that for me, myself, and I. And where I'm at, Michael and I, don't even get me on the Macron stuff. I'm not going down that rabbit trail. That's some crazy stuff. And that's like verified, y'all. But anyway, it's getting crazy, y'all. It's post-truth, postmodern. Like, yeah. And that's how they're going to, it's crazy. I ain't going down that rabbit trail. But they'll swaddle themselves.
But that's what you do. The creep in is like, oh, we'll just put it on there on the weather app, And
these people will just like wrap themselves in it like a nice comfy blanket. But I feel safe now.
I said instead of a blanket, it's more like a python, and it wraps around your neck. And eventually, by the time you figure out that it's a python wrapped around your neck, you're dead.
Yeah, exactly. Mission accomplished.
Yep.
That's exactly what they wanted, y'all.
Yep.
What we see is a misguided eco-modernist paradigm that concentrates power and privileges, techno-scientific expertise, a form of technocratic exceptionalism. At the same time, historical power relations, often rooted in agriculture and colonialisms, and their legacies within and between societies across the world, are conveniently ignored and depoliticized. Technology is not the cure-all for the destructive impacts of poverty, inequality, dispossession, imperialism, or class exploitation. when it comes to the technologies, it's the same thing. It's like when you talk about Yuval Noah Harari, right? And these might be bots or whatever, which is highly possible. But you'll have people like, no, you don't understand what he's saying. He's just warning you. He's a good guy. Like that guy, there's nothing about anything about that guy that is good. He is the face of evil, and all of his life choices and everything that he is genetically, that guy is a little scrawny, creepy devil. Okay. And I can scientifically prove that. No, I can't, but that's my opinion. It's one man's opinion, but I'm a man. And so I can he is not. So when it comes to the technologies and policies being rolled out in the agricultural sector, these phenomena will be reinforced and further entrenched. And that includes illness and poor health, which have markedly increased as a result of modern food we eat and the agrochemicals and practices already used by the corporations pushing for the food transition. So you thought they just wanted to transition your kids. They want to transition your food. This is a complete de-evolution, a complete destruction of humanity and God's creation, everything. Anything that of any worth and value or anything created in God's image, anything, right? Complete and total. Why would they spray all those chemicals in the air? I mean, they live on this planet too. They are of their father, the devil. His will they will do. They're not worried about that.
They ain't worried about
think about that, y'all. Think about like you're spraying chemicals in the air. You're like, well, I won't breathe them in. I mean, the predator class, they're total psychopaths. So they don't even like.
It's incredible what they will do to themselves to.
They think that they're impervious to it.
Yeah.
You know? However, that then opens up the money spinning techno fix opportunities in the life science sector for investors like BlackRock that invest in both agriculture and pharmaceuticals. Isn't that interesting? You make the food that makes the disease, and then you make the chemicals that is the medical industrial complex response to help the symptoms. But in a neoliberal, privatized economy that has often facilitated the rise of members of the controlling wealthy elite, it is reasonable to assume that its members possess certain assumptions of how the world works and should continue to work. A world based on deregulation with limited oversight and the hegemony of private capital, and a world led by private individuals like Bill Gates who think they know best, whether through, for instance, the patenting of life forms, carbon trading, humanize mice, y'all. What? Do what? Humanize mice. Do what? Entrenching market, corporate dependency, or land investments. Their eco-modern policies serve as cover for generating and amassing further wealth and for cementing their control. So it should come as little surprise that powerful people who have contempt for democratic principles, and by implication, ordinary people, believe they have some divine right to undermine food security, close down debate, enrich themselves, further courtesy of their technologies and policies, and gamble with humanity's future. So those were the two articles that we wanted to cover for today. They were related, so we thought that we would bring them to you. What we could do now is we could just open it up for a little Q&A. We got like 10 minutes. We'll stay on for like 10 more minutes or something. We'd stay on for 10 more minutes. If you have any questions, put them all in capitals, and we'll take some questions. We're going to do probably a farm update on the next podcast. We got a lot of really cool stuff going on here. But we won't do that now.
No,
we'll just take any questions, see if anybody posted any questions in the. Oh, Spence says he's putting figs in the ground.
That's very awesome, exciting. Man. That's very exciting.
Spence has mastered the skill of propagation. All right, y'all. If there's no questions, we'll sign off.
Yeah, and we almost made it without being hacked. But we got hacked like a little bit.
Yeah,
there.
if we're not, maybe the hack's running in the background.
I don't know. It was just the cable. It wasn't the internet. It's actually from the camera to the computer. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, really weird. All right, y'all. Well, hope you have a great night, day, whatever time you're watching this. Yeah. And guess we'll see y'all in the next video.
All right. See y'all later.
All right. See y'all.
Bye-bye.